you're new to the world of prepping or emergency preparedness, it can be a very daunting situation. Hundreds of videos tell you need to buy the best gear for the worst end of the world scenarios and tell you that you need to be ready right now, spending as much money as possible on as much gear possible. And if you're new and just wanting to be prepared for everyday emergencies or more extreme emergencies, that can be a very scary situation to be in. Hi, I'm Brooke Bandit. On my channel, we cover budget, emergency preparedness, and survival. And just a few years ago, I found myself in this exact same situation. And I overspent on guns and gear that I didn't necessarily need and underspent on food, water, storage, and tools that I legitimately would need in an emergency. So this video, what I would like to do today is I would like to create a $1,000 roadmap. And this is going to be if I had to start from scratch and buy everything new, what I would spend my first $1,000 on. I'd like to make it clear that you do not need to buy all of these things in one trip. $1,000 is not a small amount of money for a lot of people, including myself, and it takes time. You can do this for roughly $85 a month over a year to get all of this gear, or you can take even longer. Go at your own pace. Don't stress about it. This is just the roadmap of things that you'll want to get over time. In this video, we're going to cover having a couple things. First is an emergency fund. Second is having home defense tools. Third is having a food and water storage. And then we're going to get into bug out bags and get home bags. And last but not least is going to be everyday amenities that keep life going smoothly in a long-term power outage, if you have to be completely self-reliant without a trip to the grocery store, extra stuff that you'll want to have around. So stay tuned and we'll get into it. Okay, so going into this and imagining I only have $1,000 to spend, the first thing that I would like to do is put $200, so 1/5 of that, aside into an emergency fund. This can be used if the car breaks down. This can be used if a kid gets sick, if you need to make a vet trip. And it can also be used if you see rising tension in the world around you. It can be used as a grocery run for a little bit more food. Maybe you want to avoid all the rioting and stuff, but there's a gas station nearby. You can go top off the gas on your cars, get a couple things from the gas station. It is very helpful to have a little bit of extra money lying around, and it is probably going to be, compared to everything else that we have going on, the #1 resource that you use for legitimate emergencies. Because not every emergency requires running out with a gun. Sometimes you need to run to the ER. Sometimes you need to buy kids sport equipment that you forgot about or make a last-minute science fair project. Things happen. Life happens. It doesn't all have to be life or death, and having just $200 set aside does a ton. The next thing I want to cover is having a home defense weapon. Whether it is an end-of-the-world emergency where food and water is scarce or just a window breaking in the night, a home defense weapon is important to have. And so what I have picked for as a home defense weapon for somebody who has never gotten into the firearms space, maybe you don't have a concealed carry, anything like that, I picked a 20 gauge shotgun. It doesn't kick as hard as 12 gauge shotguns. It's relatively easy to use, and you can pick it up with very little training, a couple times to the range, and you'll be a decent shot as far as home defense goes. And so this is a Mossberg Maverick 88. It retails for $290, and this was actually a gift by my father-in-law. I got the sense that if I hurt his daughter, he'd kill me, and he didn't think it was honorable to shoot an unarmed man. So he got me a shotgun. I'm not complaining. This what I have right here on the buttstock is, you can buy it from Walmart. It's just a shotgun shell sleeve. It goes for $5.97. And what I have picked as far as having an ammo storage, you don't need to go big if you're just beginning. And so I decided 25 shells of buckshot is a good start for any home defense plan. I found that most buckshot retails for $11.99 for 5 shells. So to buy 25 shells, it'll cost $59.95 total. So this home defense platform, the 20 gauge shotgun, you can find a good one for anywhere from $250 to $350, just in that range. It doesn't have to be this exact one. Go to Walmart or a gun store, just say you're looking for a starter shotgun and they'll get you taken care of. But in total, our current price is Lucky Fives. So that's $555.92, and we already have our home defense and savings taken care of. Now, we're already halfway through our $1,000, but we got our big expensive pieces out of the way. An honorable mention I would like to bring up: if you don't feel great about starting with a shotgun, if you're pretty inexperienced with firearms, and you just don't feel confident having a shotgun or using a shotgun, it is totally okay to start small. So this is a Heritage Arms 22 long rifle revolver. The 22 long rifle is the smallest common ammunition cartridge out there. It only takes a couple of not so fun Google searches to realize that you don't want to get shot with one of these, but also ammo is cheap, there's no kick, and it's a good weapon to learn on. If you want to go and start small and just learn, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, neither of these options that I have shown you is going to compare to anybody with a tricked out AR-15 or anybody who is in tactical gear or whatever, but it's enough to make somebody think twice if they break into your home, and it's enough that you are going to be very dangerous to somebody who wants to hurt you or your family. One other recommendation that I have is, if you do intend to conceal carry and you don't have a firearm yet, wait to buy either of these until you have a little bit of extra money set aside for a good firearm. Now, a good concealed carry handgun is going to put you outside of my $1,000 budget, and so take a little extra time and save a little bit extra. I conceal carry a Glock 19, also empty, with a light on it. It goes with me about everywhere I go. I trust this with my life. I'm very dependable with this, and this is the primary home defense weapon for my home because it goes with me everywhere. It's on my nightstand. If something happens at home, I've got it. If something happens away from home, I've got it. If you choose concealed carry, it's not about being paranoid, it's about being prepared. I've never once pulled this out in defense of my life. I hope not to, but it's a very easy thing to just have on me and forget and go about my day. Another thing to talk about is AR-15s, plate carriers, tactical gear. They have a place in emergency preparedness. They don't have a place in your first $1,000. So I'll get in down the road to making videos about all of those things, but if you are just beginning and you don't even have short-term food storage set up or any sort of medical supplies, anything like that, maybe think about holding off a little bit. This is America. It's your choice. Spend your money how you choose. Go live your life. I definitely bought my AR way before I bought a lot of this other stuff because it was cool and I wanted it. There's nothing wrong with that, but if I were to start from scratch, I would not buy it in my first $1,000. All right, let's talk food because everybody needs to eat. There are plenty of emergencies that would make a trip to the grocery store unrealistic or take groceries off the shelves without them being replenished. This can be earthquakes, floods, fires. Anybody who's lived through COVID has also at one point seen some version of this where the shelves at the grocery store just may not have enough to go around. That's why it's important that we build both a short-term food storage and a long-term food storage. A short-term food storage is going to be food that will be shelf-stable for about a year. So think canned soups, granola bars, Kraft mac and cheese, chips, gummy bears, candy, whatever you eat that is shelf-stable, just buy a little bit more of that. Long-term food storage is going to be food that lasts 5 years or more that you put aside just in case things one day get really bad. Now, I see a lot of preparedness videos or prepper videos talk about building your short-term food storage first, and then once you have that taken care of, starting your long-term food storage. If you're working on a budget, this might not be realistic, and I can tell you it's not realistic for me. So what I do is I spend the majority of my food money on my short-term food storage while spending just a little bit at a time on my long-term food storage. So I've allotted $150 to build a short-term food storage. Every time you go to the grocery store and you buy food that you already know that you're going to eat, look at expiration dates, figure out what food lasts a year or longer, and keep a little bit extra on your shelf at home, in your pantry at home. And this is very easy to just grab and then put behind what you have already bought. That way you have what's going to expire first up front and you can just cycle through it naturally. And that is a very easy thing to slowly build at a time. Canned soup costs like $2 a can. A bag of chips is easy to buy an extra one and then just tuck in the back of the pantry. Okay, long-term food storage tends to be a little bit more expensive than short-term food storage because now you're buying things that are specifically made and marketed to last 5 years or longer. And because of that, you're buying things that are intended to be survival food. There's a whole market for it, and it's more expensive to make. Now, I personally have chosen not to complicate it by trying to make my own, and instead I'm personally buying over-the-counter things. It just makes the process a lot easier, makes the whole process stress-free, and the point of emergency preparedness is to have overall a happier and better life. So I'm buying things like Mountain House emergency camping meals. I'm buying artisan farms like cans of dehydrated food. You can also buy FEMA rations. That's literally the rations that the US government hands out during like earthquakes or fires. After some place gets leveled and the government comes in to help people, this is what they're handing out to people. It's basically a civilian MRE. You can also buy military MREs. And so I've allotted $150 for your short-term food storage, and I've allotted $60 to start your long-term food storage. It's important to build these at the same time because your long-term food storage can easily be pulled into your short-term food storage if something bad happens. Additionally, if your power goes out, you need a way to cook without electricity. If the gas running to your house goes out, you need a way to cook without gas. So just to start, I found a Walmart brand camp stove for $18.87. And you're also going to need to buy a small propane tank for that. And I found them at Walmart for $5.47. I'm using Walmart because there's Walmarts in all 50 states. Most people can find a Walmart, and I wanted something that people could find easily and not stress about and just throw on their list as they're shopping. Oh, hey, look, there it is. They get it. So that's why so many of these things are from Walmart. Totaling up the food though, so after everything, we are currently standing at $790.26. So now let's talk about water. So I had two goals when it comes to safe drinking water that I want to accomplish while staying within this budget. The first one is to create a water storage, having clean water on hand that you can rely on if water stops coming out of the tap or if the water coming out of the tap is no longer safe to drink. The second one is regarding having water safe to drink. I wanted a way to filter and purify dirty water so that you could get more water to drink if needed. So starting with filtering and purifying water, I grabbed two key items. The first one is going to be a Sawyer filter, and the second one is going to be aqua tabs. These are chemical tabs that you can put in dirty water. It's going to kill the viruses. Before you kill the viruses, you want to filter out bacteria. That's what this filter is for. If you have questions on how to use either of these, you can go ahead and look at my last YouTube video where I made an entire video on how to find, filter, and purify dirty drinking water. When it comes to starting a water storage, I decided a simple starting goal would be 5 cases of water bottles. So I used the Walmart brand water bottles, and I found that 5 cases of 40 water bottles each costs $27.35 at $5.47 a pack. So I think 5 cases is a good starting goal. I think the most I would go as far as having water storage around, unless you have tons of room to store water, you still want to live a semi-normal life. So I would say about 2 cases per person in your home is a good goal for water. It's not so much that it starts like creeping into your living room and stuff. It's still enough that you can probably throw in a closet somewhere and forget about it. But it's also enough that you have time if water is no longer coming out of your faucets. That Sawyer filter and those aqua tabs, I found a single Sawyer filter on Amazon for $28.99, and I found a pack of 30 aqua tabs, which will purify up to 30 liters of clean drinking water, for $11.99 on Amazon. So once we include our water total, we are at $858.59. Something that was important to me to put in this $1,000, as well as something that if I could do this over again would be one of my highest priorities, is building a get home bag. Having a home defense weapon, food, and water put away doesn't mean a lot if you can't actually get home to take care of your family. And so a get home bag summed up is a bag of everything that you would need to get home if some emergency blocked up the roads or knocked out the roads, earthquake, fire, whatever. We see time and time again in real life that when these emergencies occur, the roads just clog. Everybody at once is trying to get home, and more often than not, people have to walk home, and more often than not, a lot of people are unprepared and bad things happen. So I budgeted $70 to build a very basic get home bag. In this get home bag, I found the bag itself, a $20 Walmart pack. All of these are Walmart items. A $5 flashlight, a $3 lighter, a $10 pocket knife, a $2 rain poncho, a $10 emergency sleeping bag, as well as an additional $20 for you to personally grab whatever else you feel you would need to get home. Everybody's situation is different. People live differing distances from their homes, different types of environments when it comes to walking home. If you can't think of anything else that you would need, you can also use that $20 to buy higher quality stuff than the things I just threw up on the screen. Additionally, if you want more ideas on what you can put in your starter get home bag, you can look at the video that I've already made on this channel that goes over get home bags. So with the get home bag taken care of, our total is now $928.59. All right, guys. All that we have left in the budget is $71.41. And this is money that I would have put aside to use for extra amenities. What do I mean by amenities? That's everyday items that are disposable, that you go through on a regular basis, that would really suck to not have around. After COVID, I'm talking toilet paper. I don't want to go into the trauma of whatever I used as makeshift toilet paper during COVID. This is going to be trash bags, dish soap, wet wipes, Clorox wipes. Start thinking about what disposable things you use on an everyday basis and stock up a little bit of extra. Because just like we talked about with food, if food's no longer on the shelves at the grocery store, we're in trouble. If these things are no longer on the shelf, we're likely going to be really uncomfortable. Another thing to think about is in serious emergencies that knock out your power, there's a good chance that your power can be off for a significant amount of time. Earthquakes, floods, fires, even if you're not in the spot where it happened and your house is good, there's a good chance it knocks out your power grid. And so have some extra candles on hand, have a emergency, like those little like battery packs that you can like plug a cord into and charge your phone. Those are good things to have, especially if you're just getting into preparedness and you're like young bachelor dude. You probably have a bachelor pad that consists of a couch you pulled in off the street and whatever TV was in your parents' garage. A candle is going to turn that bachelor pad into a bachelor home. And so it's a good thing to have on hand. All right, guys, we have reached our $1,000. That is everything that I really had in mind for you for this video. Two things that I want to touch on is what we covered today, this first $1,000. This is the starting point. This is the start of the journey. If you follow this $1,000 roadmap and you decide that you're good and you don't want to dive any further into emergency preparedness, you are already miles ahead of most people around you. If you are like me and you start diving into this and you find that it's actually really fun and you want to be more prepared for any kind of emergency or any sort of long-term grid down scenario, then you have your bases covered and you're at a good point where you can start getting into more of the niche stuff. Let's say you want to get really into gardening and making your own food, or you want to get really into the tactical side of things, or you want to jump into being able to take any beat down car and make it EMP proof and be the end of the world mechanic. You can start jumping into these things once you've got your bases covered, and it is a ton of fun. The second thing I want to talk about is we've talked about what it takes to survive today as far as the bare resources. We haven't talked a lot about living. I can't tell you how valuable it is to have a community around you. And building a community doesn't cost any money at all. Start talking to people around you, start making relationships, start talking to your family members nearby and seeing what their plans are in emergency situations. To have a team or a group of people who are also prepared for emergencies and care about you, who you can care about in return, that's how you actually start rebuilding after an emergency. That's not just surviving, that's actually creating something better in the aftermath of whatever horrible devastation hopefully we never see. It is guaranteed that we face emergencies in our lifetime. But whether that emergency is this huge SHTF scenario or the power's down for a long time and you can't get to the grocery store, either of those situations, having people who care about you and having people that you can care about in return who understand the need for emergency preparedness, it goes a long way. That's all I have for you guys. I'd appreciate if you liked, shared, and subscribed. Helps the channel out a lot. This is just a hobby that I'm doing in my downtime, these videos I'm making, but it is fun to see when they perform well. So I appreciate you guys for making it this far, and I appreciate you guys for your time. Thank you.